Okay, once you start TCS FabMaster, which is our custom software for our pipe machines, the main screen is going to show up. This is where you install your license file. This only needs to be done once. When you first get the machine, you will already have it installed. If you ever install the software on another computer, you would need to, of course, install your license file. And that is done here. First button we're going to click is the bottom left corner. Depending on what license you have, you'll have different icons up here. The license I've installed on this test computer is for round and for box section. We can also import a CAD via step file, and this just shows us our views. So let's do some round. So the first thing it's going to ask us is we need to tell it what the outside dimension is. This is an actual measurement. So for example, 3-inch, schedule 40 is 3.5 outside. We need to actually enter that it's 3.5, even though it's nominally called 3-inch pipe. We put our wall thickness in here, and then how long this piece is going to be that we want to create. So I'm going to say it's 12 inches long. We choose OK, and our pipe shows up. Now, if I wanted to miter or cope the end, you can either do a slot, a cope, a miter, or an array of holes, or a single hole. I'm going to do a simple cope. So we show that this shows up. It tells us what end we want to work with. The first end is the end on the left-hand side of the screen. The second end would be on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to do the first end, and I am wanting to mate this up to a 3.5-inch piece. So it's going to mate up to the same size pipe. I'm going to do an angle of 35 degrees. And it's rotated about this pipe at 90 degrees. And we can also offset the center if we desire. So I choose Apply, and then OK. And you can see that now we have our 3D visual of what our pipe is going to look like. At this point, if we wanted to actually generate G-code, it's very simple. The first thing we're going to do is unwrap this. So it's going to clean everything up, and there it's going to unwrap. So there's our two cuts. There's our cope cut, and there's our straight line cut off, because I did not define any type of cut at the end of my 12-inch piece, so it automatically assumes it's a straight cut off. At this point, we have an unwrapped file or model. So we're going to click on the cutting operation. Okay. Now here, we have our torch up here with what we're cutting and the amperage we're cutting it with. Everything on this program is based on a customer, a contract, and then the material. So if I choose, I'm listed as LDR. My contract is, I called it a round test. It's my job. And then this is the material. Of course, this all has to be cut out of one material if we're going to nest this together. So this is our nesting screen. All right, so we have two different types of programs I've generated here. One is 60 inches long. Total length after it's cut will be 58.33. And the other is a 8-inch piece, which will be, we see that here by this indicator at the end. This number is the length of the piece. And it is going to be 7.17 inches when it's done. So I can tell it that I want 2 of those, and I want 4 of these. This is our stock material. This is pretty much what you would change here is just your length. I'm putting in that we have a 20-foot length of stock here. The chucking waste is already predefined in, so you actually put the full length of your stock in here. Now when I nest this, you'll see that I get a nesting solution. And it shows that we have our clamp waste, which this particular example we're using 9 inches. So it already knows that it has to subtract 9 inches. It cannot cut with the stock, the last 9 inches of stock. It gives us that our quantity of stock we have. We have one 240-inch length piece. Our parts list, we're going to cut 2 58.33 inches long and 4 of them 7.17 for a total of 6 pieces. There's our actual programs it's going to run. We cut a total of 145.94 inches. We utilize 60.81%. We will have a cutoff of 103 inches. Now we can either print this report or save this report. Now the minute that we've clicked this nesting report, we've actually generated G-code. And here's the actual G-code that is used to cut the actual parts out. This also is automatically saved into your work folder, which is explained in more detail in the write-up we have. You can also show it in the Explorer, and you'll see that here is our different G-codes. We have a G-code generated for each and every piece, different types of piece. So in this case, there'd be two, the 16-inch long and the 8-inch long. And then we also generate our nesting G-code, which is the G-code to run to cut 2 of the one and 4 of the other, like we asked it to do. That G-code is then loaded into our control program and cut out. And it's really that simple. So if you wanted to generate something else, you could do the same. So you could click here. Let's do a 16-inch long piece. Okay, there's our 16-inch long piece. I'm going to miter the first end, and I want to miter it at a 45. And I will click apply. Now I want to miter the second end, and I want to miter it also at 45, and I click apply. And okay, we have our piece. Now I'm going to unwrap it. And now I'm going to click the CNC button to give it a name. I want this to be in the same customer name in the same job. It's going to have a unique file name, which is based on the material, the diameter, the wall thickness, and the length. Choose OK. Go into my nesting program. You can see I now have 3 materials, or I'm sorry, 1 material, 3 different types of cuts, 3 different individual parts. And again, I can tell it that I want 2 of these, 4 of these, and 3 of these. And we nest it. And there is our nesting report, showing us how much we've used. We've used 97.38%. Our offcut is 15.28 inches. Now it's telling me that some parts were not nested. Okay, the reason that is there was not enough stock length. You can see here that if you take these and multiply them out, you've got roughly 31 inches there, you've got roughly 238 inches there. It all adds up to more than what our stock length is. So we need to add more stock. We will have to actually generate another chunk of G-code to cut the next piece. The system works exactly the same with square. We tell it the size. So it's a 4-inch wall by 4-inch wall, or side, 1/4-inch wall. Do my radius at 1/2 inch and 36-inch long piece. And there's our square. We can do the same thing. We can miter the end. The first end. I'm going to put it at a 32-degree angle with a rotation of 90, and apply. And okay. So I'm going to cut that off at that angle. We can also do holes. So holes, the first thing we do is pick the hole type. So I'm going to do round holes. I'm going to do 1-inch diameter. Now we can do the hole position. From the left, we can tell it what we want the distance to be. So 4 inches in. I want it to be directly on the center, so I'm not doing any center offset. I want it to be 90 degrees. Oops, I'm sorry, I want it to be 0 degrees. So it goes straight through. And I want the rotation to be 90 degrees. Now we can do a pattern of those. So we could tell it that we wanted 8 of those. And we want them 2 inches from each other. And how many rows we want and what the distance of the rows are. And we can also select whether these are through holes or just on one side. So if I unselect through hole and click apply, okay, you can see that we only have the holes on one side. Once you have your part designed in here, it's as simple as clicking the unwrapping, just as we did for the round. The more features there are, the more time this takes. Here you can see we have reference lines. So I'm going to give this a new name, and I'm going to call it Square Test, and click OK. So now I can go here. It remembers what I was just in. If we wanted to go back to the round, we could. It'll give us our materials. So we do a square test. I can tell it that I want 3 of those, and nest. Now in this particular case, square stock is usually longer than round, so you would change your length to match, and you would be able to get more usage out of that particular length. Again, the G code is here for you to view, but the minute that you click Nest, it actually generates the G code and puts it in the work folder, which can then easily be grabbed and either brought to the machine controller if it's on if this program's on a separate computer, or it can actually just be loaded right on the same computer.